But my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises. You ain't stopping this, cross my shit, you'll be knocked unconscious, bitch. That's the consequence, I got this, I will not quit. Man, I'm on it, honest. I'm gonna launch quick, then I'm gone. It's just a matter of time before I'm over the climb and moving under my prime. Just quit my 9 to 5, I'm rocking, and they watching, cause it's shocking. Dropping all these top 10 songs, so stopping. It's time to live my life, it's time to live, not die. Wish I could slow down time and just enjoy the climb.
What is up, party people? So, fun one today. Yesterday I was listening into a couple of the live streams and Flutter Flying streams, and got an idea. One of the things that I notice usually happens is people don't um they comment on videos, and it's kind of a hearsay or a or they don't get an opportunity to really ask the question that should be asked on the spot. So yesterday I was listening to Bro Sanchez, and IPS came on, and he made a claim to one of the people on the panel. He said, "How come you see a shadow on the Earth in the ISS footage?" And I don't know why the person on the panel didn't ask him about a timestamp or something to back that claim, and it kind of pissed me off because what I did is I wanted to make sure that my question was seen and asked. And funny enough, I used a super chat to on Bro Sanchez and asked him, IPS, can you provide a timestamp for your claim? Yeah, well, the second I hit the chat, IPS took off the panel, so obviously he couldn't do that. So I'm kind of realizing that that's the kind of tactic types do, and even worse than that, Bro Sanchez didn't shout it out, didn't read it, read a bunch of other ones, but not mine. So kind of see how that narrative has to stay to one side otherwise, and that's kind of frustrating to me because it doesn't make sense why you would do that if you're running um, a truth podcast. You're not supposed to deceive anybody. Not supposed to act like something didn't happen at all. It's pretty bad, and it's frustrating. More frustrating to the fact that um, could have really had some headway, providing a timestamp and showing where the shadow on Earth was, because again, there's no evidence behind a lot of claims, and it's frustrating. So it dawned on me, let's talk about space. A lot of scholars don't believe in space, and I can make you realize space is here because it's the reality of it. So with that said, I have an open panel. Anybody want to jump on and put their 2 cents in on, is space real or not? More than welcome to. But one of the things that was also talked about on the live stream was gravity, and how what a gravity well is. And another aspect of that was brought up was also, why is the moon um, actually leaving Earth's gravity well when it's supposed to be in a tidal lock? And I wanted to talk about this because I actually have a great idea of how this works. And this is actually one of the things that kind of that I looked into for a long time, which actually led me to understand that the way our galaxy works doesn't fit how gravity works. And I wanted to talk about these things because It's one of the things that a flat earther will use as gravity isn't real evidence. And what it doesn't do is it doesn't do that. But at the same time, it is a question that I have. It is a question that I've asked for a long time that no one's been able to answer. No one at all will be able to answer it because, hey, science can't answer it either. As of right now, you may know it as dark matter and dark matter and energy. And these are the proof that you should actually take into effect that science isn't as perfect as you're claiming we say it is for one aspect of it. Science has never said they are perfect. Science doesn't act like they are. And the majority that just say science can't be trusted at all, I like to say, remember, you're using science on a regular basis. So with that said, again, open chat, open panel. You guys want to jump in, weigh your 2 cents, more than welcome to. But there's no way you're going to be able to explain to me that science is not real and space isn't real, because honestly, you would have to use our science to prove that, and you still haven't. Um, Another topic I wanted to add to it is chemtrails. I hate using the word, but in this sense, I think it could be used. Um, for flat earthers that are run on the chemtrail, you may like this one. This may be your more evidence for yourself. So today I was on an Uber ride, and understand where I live. To get to where I was going, I actually have to go. The freeway cuts through a military base, a camp. It's Miramar Airfield. Anyone knows? Watch Top Gun. That's where it was filmed at. But it's a military base. It's now ran by the Air Force, and so obviously anyone who knows or lives in a military installation, that is a no-fly zone, right? No fly. That means no companies, no civilian aircraft is allowed to be in this airspace. Now, on my drive, I did see a plane, and it did appear to have its quote unquote contrails, but I noticed something a little different. Here's the problem. And again, I I believe that the government and different agencies are spraying. Let's get that out the way now. I know they're spraying. I know they're putting it in the public's eye now, or the public's ear now, so that when it becomes more ramped up, it won't be a shocker. But I'm telling you guys now, they are spraying now. Now, with that said, you guys can say I'm a conspiracy nut, blah, 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 this, blah, blah, that, but I know I have enough evidence to prove this. I have different documents, different treaties, and what do you call them? Plans to do these type of sprays. I mean, right now the biggest one I'm covering is Scope X, and that's the aerosol spraying for the geoengineering. Well, let's get one thing straight. When they do these models, like for instance for climate, they have climate models. When they add geoengineering into these models, and mind you, this is public knowledge. You guys can go and look. Every scientist is talking about it right now. When you put geoengineering into these models, it does not work. They cannot come to a conclusion of what even could happen. What's that mean? That means they know certain things. We know certain things will happen. They add these things into a model, and this model in a computer system will simulate different scenarios thousands and thousands of times over. In the end, it will give a result of what would be the most likely thing to happen. This is kind of like how we predict eclipses, or we know hurricanes will be around this time every year. Now, those climate models are accurate. Not inaccurate in as they're going to tell us when a hurricane or a tornado or a severe storm is going to hit, but we know strategically when tornado season is, when hurricane season is, when our rainy seasons are, or when the seasons where our dry spells happen. Those are predictable. So anyone who says a climate model isn't real or predictable, they're wrong on that aspect. So when we put geoengineering into these climate models, what do we get? And we get basically 150 different things that could happen. Now, when you're trying to predict the good or bad of a situation, and you're using a climate model to do this, you're not looking at it as what will San Diego do, what will a city in Nebraska do. This is the world they're trying to figure out, and they don't get a result. So usually when they do these climate models, they're able to predict, and they're able to either come up with better technology or a different method for whatever they're looking this up for. And regardless of what they're getting with these geoengineering models, they're still going to do it regardless. And there's big aspects to this that affect everybody, whether it be your weather. Imagine this. Imagine wherever you live, you're used to that weather. Well, California, what if I told you they could predict, or those models predicted in every model, that California would now start having hurricanes? Or what if, let's say, Florida? Let's say, about, let's say in the Miami area, lower Florida. What if you guys got snow for a season? Well, those are the type of things the model has and has predicted over and over again. These are some of the consistent things that we've gotten from it. Now, one of the other things is that we could actually heat the planet up. Remember, this is a method to cool the planet down. This can actually heat it up and make the pollution denser. We'll have nowhere to go. So to me, it seems very ridiculous that this SMR idea is a good idea. So again, guys, you guys are going to start hearing about this all the time. Media sources are now starting to put it out there. Harvard is starting to put their sources out there. Other issues come along with private militaries and what will the public do when they find out type situations. I told you guys, ScopeX is the leading program that's going to be doing this stuff. They're going to be doing a field experiment in the next month or two to convince the Congress that this is a good idea and get a green light for it. The problem I see is if they're going to be doing a small area for the test, how are they going to get a scope of what will happen over a large range? They're not. All they're doing is selling the idea to Congress, who will then ask, what is in it for us under the table? And again, I've gone through that, so much, it's ridiculous. If you guys don't know, you can ask in the chat more if you need to. But yeah, the whole carbon capture and storage is a bullshit scam. They're using it to produce more oil. Please tell me how your goal is to lower emissions. So then the oil companies bring on this capture storage technology, which they're doing, to recover more oil. I say recover more oil for anyone who doesn't know. I'm talking 60 to 80% more oil, which does play in to the whole oil wells replenish themselves thing we've heard for a while on Flat Earth. Flat Earthers, understand, oil wells do not replenish themselves. It does not work that way. What they are doing is this oil recovery system is documented. It's technology they're doing to recover more oil. It started at 400 barrels a day, and now they are at 4,000 barrels a day. If anyone does not believe me, I will back my claim. No problem. But again, 4,000 to 1,000% increase. How do you lower emissions by putting 1,000% more oil into the public's hands for vehicles, planes, you name it? It's just ridiculous to me. Oh, by the way, the government pays them millions of dollars a year to put these systems in there, to implement these systems into their factories, and at the same note, they get tax breaks for doing it. Not to mention the carbon permission slips, I call them, the carbon tax or the carbon market. They have a stock market basically for this stuff now. They each oil company that is drilling, producing oil, or producing anything, they set off a certain amount of emissions a day. Basically, the government has issued a permission slip for the amount they're allowed to emit per year or every fiscal year. And what they're able to do with these things if a fiscal year happens and they have credits left over, so say they didn't emit as much pollution, and that's different chemicals in that time frame, they can actually sell those to other companies who have maybe hit their limits and need another 6 months worth of these credits. And mind you, if a company doesn't hit that mark and they have credits left over, they then can they can put that much more pollutants in the air for a fiscal year because they have the credits for it. Doesn't really make too much sense yet. If you all understand how the stock market works, people are still making a lot of money, hand and fist over fist. Not to mention that there are a lot of officials that have a lot of invested into oil companies. Don't believe me? Go check it out. I mean, let me know. I'll send you links. I'll put that out there. I have plenty of uploads showing these documents. It should be common knowledge by now. If not, it may not be what you care about. Oh well. But with the topic at hand, gravity, space, space travel. What do we have out there? What is out there? Let's talk about that. Now, like I was saying, a lot of philosophers, which get a different narrative, and I get that because I had a different narrative. If they don't believe in a dome, I've heard a lot of people say we can't go past low space orbit. Key factor being Van Allen belts. Now, I to this day still have questions about this, including with the moon landing because of this. We know there are two belts out there in layers, in sessions. One is a little bit less than the other is thicker. Now, the explanation for being able to pass through these Van Allen belts comes very, very there's a way they can do it, and I get it, which means the more time you spend in a radiated area, the most likely you are to become infected or it radiate into your body and you become, have radiation poisoning or radiation in your system. Now, if you're able to get through this fast enough, what happens is there's a give take to it. So imagine this is a scale. The scale is way down right now by you're healthy. You have no radiation in your body. The other scale is radiation and the time it takes to heal. So if you take in a lot of radiation, it takes longer for your body to cleanse itself, we'll say. Now, if you spend more time in that zone and there's a lot of radiation, it's going to take so much more time to get rid of it. That is when you get radiation sickness, when your body figures out it will not be able to help itself. Now, if you go into a low radiation thing, so we'll say maybe the dentist's office, what happens is your body does take in some radiation, but it's so little for so little time, your body's able to basically wipe it out, no problem. That's why no one leaves the dentist's office with radiation poisoning. So those type of things you need to take into effect when you're thinking, could they go through the radiation belt? Let's get in the chat real quick. What's up, Alan? What's up, new channel? What's up, Kadar? How you doing? Globe Strike Back. What's up? You said chemtrails. They are called contrails. Yes, I get that they are called contrails, and again, there are applications that have stated that they were able to put them in the fuel so the exhaust would actually emit whatever chemicals they wanted to. But here's the problem with that. What I'm going to show you guys, I'll go ahead and show you guys now. So like I said, I was on an Uber ride, and where I was going to where I was coming from, we actually basically travel south through a military base, and then heading east along the other side of this military base. So in this drive, I was able to take pictures of what I believe to be deliberate spraying. Now, I will show you guys, and I will explain why I believe it was deliberate spraying. Just to clarify, I do not know if it was cloud seeding or it was chemtrailing or contrailing with chemicals in them, but I will explain why I brought this to light. So, here are the images. They're going to kind of just play because they're on automatic right now, but I mean, it's not going to kill anyone to see this. Let me go ahead and pop this up so I can see the pictures a little bit better. And actually, let me go ahead and put it on so I can explain to you guys exactly what I'm seeing. 1 second, guys. But like I was saying, the one thing that I noticed with this, and the reason I'm bringing this even to light, is the fact that when you guys see these images, I want you to understand that if you live on a military installation, you will understand what I'm coming from on this. Understand that these like in these areas, in these military zone air zones, air zones, you're not allowed to fly civilian aircraft in these areas. You're not allowed to. It's not how it works. If you do, a nice little jet will come and say hi, escort your ass off out of their airspace, and then they'll go from there. But regardless, what ends up happening is you get in trouble. So guess what happens? No one does. Let me get this bigger so you guys can see it. It won't take too long. So like I said, these are the images that I took. I'm watching the chat, so you guys have any questions or need me to go back, I will. But most importantly, these are what I want to look at. So what you guys are looking at right now is I'm traveling westbound. And I noticed contrails. The issue is that these are over military base, so I know these trails are right up. They're there. They're not traveling outside the base area. They're literally only in this airspace that the base contains. Now, what you can see in this image is on the left side is the trail that I noticed and is spraying right now, or is spraying at the time of the picture. To the right is an older trail. That trail cuts off right before where I'm at. So we'll go to the next one. That's the plane spraying as I'm taking pictures. Again, all these are happening over an air base. What's up, Seek and Find? Again, another picture of them spraying. Okay, so these are the ones I wanted you guys to really see. Where you guys are looking at now, if you guys notice, right above the tree is this new spray, and now I'm heading north, just so you guys know where I'm at. If you look in the distance, there are contrails, quote unquote, in the distance. I'm not sure if you noticed, but they're in a pattern, right? You see him again to the left, and you can see the new trail as he turns before he gets over the freeway that I was on prior. Again, you see trails. And another thing I wanted you guys to notice is the clouds in the sky. I've been told that those are clouds before. I'm letting you guys know those are the only streaks of contrail in the sky above the base. See again, there are numerous trails in the sky. Now, I would ask, why would they be doing this over the airbase? Now, why would they be flying in those patterns over an airbase? Again, I'm not saying, hey guys, they're spraying blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Again, I don't know if they're cloud seeding, but I found it very odd that a single plane would be that many trails or passes over an airbase, and his contrails stay there for the time they did. Every line you see was done by that one plane. Every line you see stayed there for the 45-minute drive I had around. I mean, it's cut and dry to me, as in something's going on. But again, you cannot tell me that was it's a normal flight. You can't say it was airliners. You can't say it was, a random jetliner just spraying, having its contrail exposed. Doesn't work that way. But I do know I saw at least 12 lines in the sky just above the military base from this plane. If you don't believe it, I would say, hey, let's talk. And yes, that's what the SRM geoengineering plan is going to do. Again, so everyone understands, if you took all those lines, you're looking in the sky at these pictures, you're not going to see blue sky. They've already in a lot of the publications, the things they've publicized. I'm sorry. Um, they've explained that the amount of aerosol sulfates that they would have to spray in the sky will be a consistent until finish. It will look pretty much like your skies will be great, not grayed out, but whited out because of the amount of spray they'll have to admitting. So it's real. It's going to happen, and I would say, in my personal opinion, I believe that they've been doing this stuff. The reason for all the hype they're putting into it now is that it didn't work, or they did something wrong, or vice versa. I don't know, but that's my opinion, and I think now the hoopla is to fix. I wanted to get this out the way because a lot of you guys do know, and a lot of you guys have heard. I am a conspiracy theorist. I did not just drop that with flat Earth because I believe a lot of this stuff to be 100% true. So, with that said, guys, we can get into the flat Earth thing now. But I definitely wanted to get that out the way and talk to you guys about it because it's real. The spraying is real. I don't call it chemtrailing in the sense of I don't want it to be put into the whole nanobot thing, but the realization of it is, guys, it's real. It's they do spray. They are doing it for whatever reasons they have that a lot of us don't know. A lot of the stuff is because of what they're putting out there, but they're still not telling us the real facts about what's going on up there. So with that said, guys, the link is out there for the Hangout, open Hangout. We don't have to talk about this. We can, but nonetheless, it's a open topic. Period. Doesn't matter to me. I know sauce you can find out there. I'm not sure if you're busy, but if you wanted to talk your gravity, because I did want to talk about gravity wells. People have asked, I've heard a lot of fighters lately going, well, if Earth is tidal locked with us, then how is the moon going further away? And I want you guys to understand it works in itself. It's pretty cut and dry. Are you guys getting my hangout just dropped? Are you guys getting hear me or oh no? I want to make sure. Check here. Looks like I'm buffering. I don't want to continue unless everything is good. My numbers look good. I'm not dropping frames, so I don't know why it would be buffering. Hopefully, you guys aren't just listening to dead air at the moment, but I'm trying to figure out. It looks like I'm buffering on my end. Sure. Internet's not even working. Second, guys. I got a good connection here. YouTube cannot be reached. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if you guys even got my signal. You guys hear me? Let's see. Okay, so you guys can hear me. I don't know why. I don't see how it's working, but it doesn't look like it's working to me. But I guess has it better idea what's going on than I do. So, like I was saying, um, I'll just have to work off my phone. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. I'm using my phone as my. Yeah, no, Alan, I'm good. I got a green light. Not dropping frames. Not using too much CPU. Everything looks good. It's just my watch page and my preview page is buffering. It seems to. But I'm on my phone right now watching, and I mean I hear myself. Everything looks good on it, so it's all good. But the only issue is that my Hangout dropped. So let me see if I can get that back on. Again, I don't know what's up with YouTube and my side. Good that you guys can still hear me, but I can't see. I can't load up my trying to load up my anything really right now on my YouTube. Second, apologize. That link is not going to work because that Hangout froze on me. Um, but shouldn't take too much time, guys. Don't worry. Um, but I'm in the chat, so I'll talk to you guys for a second while this is going on. What's up, Lieber? How you doing? What's up, Trouble? Who else is here? All right, so what's up to Seek and Find? I know Alan was talking in there about microwave stuff. And on the 5G thing, I don't. I've looked into it a little bit. I don't know enough about it to say how dangerous it is, but there are definitely reports out there that it has effects. So I mean, how do you? How could you possibly not think it's dangerous? I guess that would be the question I have for anyone who's for it. Um, and as far as how it was brought to me to work, um, one of the aspects of it that makes it work so well is the fact that it only works in small areas and it has uh, a lot more powerful. I guess is the way I was put to it, but it is what it is. I don't know what the hell is up with YouTube. My YouTube page is not pulling up at all. See if another live or another link will work here. Yeah, you're talking. I know, and Syncfine, you were saying you needed to have more convo. Yeah, so on OBS. So I think what I'm gonna do, guys, is I have a lot of footage that I'm trying to edit and upload to show a lot of tutorials on how things work. But I think one of the things I think what I may do is I may just do it all live. Like, you guys ask a question and I'll just show you guys how to do it or whatnot. I think that even may be a little easier for me. But we'll see. Of course, right now I got to figure out why everything's happening on my end because I know you guys can hear me and I know everything's running through, but at the same time, guys, it's kind of awkward not having what I need in front of me. It said microwaves can cause cancer. I don't know if there's a correlation between one causing cancer, but there is it's a fact that they do um, emit a certain amount of radiation. Yes, they do. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, there are definitely devices that do emit certain amount of radiation. Whether that amount of radiation is actually lethal, I don't think so at all. But there's always that chance. All right, let me see if I can do. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to piggyback another connection on my network. network. All right, so that's on. Yeah. I mean, actually, I guess I can show you what it's doing right now. It's much better when you're able to actually show people what's going on. It's crazy. And mind you, this is a. There we go. Yep, see, that's what I'm getting right now. I don't know why, but it is. smart thing to do would be check my connection. Lucky you guys get to do it. So we'll see how this works. I don't even know if it'll be able to get to that. So again, like I said, I don't know what the fuck is going on with my system, but for some reason it's working perfectly fine, yet not working at all. See, it's not working. I always love when this happens. So, like I said, right now I can't even open the Hangout. Otherwise, it worked just fine. But okay, so it just disconnected me from my side. I can hear myself real quick. Hey, what's up, I Spy? How you doing? It's been a while. Again, guys, I'm trying to figure out what is happening on my end. I don't know why it's not working. You guys can hear me and you're watching what I'm watching, then for some odd reason YouTube is working, yet it's not working on my end. Let's see. Worst case scenario, I may have to end this stream and start again. Wouldn't be a big deal, but much rather just keep. Okay, so yeah, you guys are definitely seeing. You're definitely still going. Why it's not working, I don't know. I don't want to actually lose that window, so try this. 1 second, guys. I'm just gonna try to figure this out real quick so I can be done with it. That's open. Yep, still not working. Let me, so I'm trying. I don't know what the fuck is going on and why it is not working. Doesn't make sense that my browser isn't working yet. You guys can hear everything perfectly fine. All right, guys. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and end this so I can try to figure this out because again, I can't do anything without browser, and I'll write it down, and then I'll have a troubleshooter for this as well. So sorry, guys. Um, let me get this figured out, and I'll be back on as soon as I can. All right, I may be back on. I'm not 100% sure. Second. So I may be back on. Let me go ahead and check this. All right, so I think back on. I'm not 100% sure what the hell all that was about. I do apologize for that. Um, one thing I did notice, there's some other people going live, but hey, they want to talk Flat Earth Unity. It's cool. The reality of it is, talk the realization of whether or not Flat Earth is even real. Um, I Spy. I saw your message, and I'm so sorry. It was in our prayers. Um, I mean, I don't even know what to say about it. There's a lot of things that I got a lot of family that dealing with the same, doing the chemo thing. So I do know where coming from and where on. So anyone to talk to, hit me up in the back. I'm always there. Hopefully this is working. I can get another hangout going. So 1 second, guys. I'm trying to get another hangout going so that we can build on my question. Is space real? Let me fix this. All right, so got the hangout up. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the chat, and we'll go from there. And again, guys, I apologize for the lag in this. Like I said, I don't know what happened. I had to actually completely restart my system. So hopefully everything's back to normal, good to go, we're live, and no more situations will happen like that, which was odd because, again, like I said, you guys could hear me, everything was good on your end, but I couldn't do anything. But the link's out there. Anyone could jump on. One of the things I wanted to talk about also in this whole space thing is the fact that, let's see, now it is jumping around. There you go. Okay. If you don't believe there's a space, right, and your evidence behind this is, please bring it to me. The dome. So here's the problem I have. There's a lot of there's no evidences for the globe, but there is. I mean, there are things you guys cannot deny are happening. But then I hear there is a dome without evidence of a dome. Yesterday, I literally heard a group say there was that it wasn't an edge. There was an infinite plane. Infinite plane. How is there an infinite plane? How is this even possible? Because understand, if it's an infinite plane, then how do you know it's an infinite plane? You see what I'm saying? There's like the conundrum that really plays in a part when you claim there to be an infinite plane. With that said, also, they said an infinite dome. Again, guys, I shouldn't have to explain how far-fetched that is. If we can't, if it's, let's just get this straight. If it is infinite, understand that no one knows it's infinite because you would have to figure that out. And it would take forever, infinity, to figure that out. Now, they correlated with that with how is the universe infinite? And they taught us the universe is infinite. No, they don't say the universe is infinite, nor have they ever. What they will explain to you is that the universe is infinitely expanding, meaning we see it expanding, we do not know how long it will happen. We don't know how far it could go. We don't know. They don't know the outside of that. So the term infinitely expanding is only to say it's expanding. We don't know when it will stop. To say we live on an infinite plane, there is no edge, means it's an infinite forever plane. Another guy made another claim that you can't leave from somewhere and end up in that same and back to that place, but you can. In fact, they've done it. They do it all the time. In fact, the whole idea of tracking the ISS proves it as well. Now, if you guys want to, I have no problem. All of us figuring out a certain amount of people in a certain area, we can all track the ISS. And the problem is for you guys, if we all see this, what we call ISS there, you guys understand that space is real. How do you know? And then, you get the questions. How do you know it's not closer? Because the distance it travels, in the time it travels, if it was in Earth's atmosphere, lower Earth, in our atmospheres that we fly in and blah blah blah, it would tear it up. It'd be impossible. This also plays along in the sun, moon, things that Seek and Find didn't want me using at any given time. But the realization is that there are ways we know things are distances, things are traveling at certain speeds, yada 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 yada. It's there are methods to figuring those things out. Now, how those methods somehow turn to not being correct or even worse being wrong does not make sense to me. Now, again, you can say science is lying, but how is science lying? So you're able to use science to say we're lying with that science. Doesn't make any sense. Again, guys, I got so many fucking so many questions that I've had questions since I was a flat earther that never got answered. These are part of the reasons that I left flat Earth, because when it came time to, it was real easy to nitpick and say, Globe, these are your issues, right? But at the time, I didn't think about it until recently, that how is it I use science I believe is lying to determine that it's not a globe, But that means I would have to trust the science that I'd say is lying. Okay, then there's the other aspect of it where say, well, some of it's a lie. Some of it is, they're lying about the shape, but science is real. Science is okay, but are you applying science to your conclusion that it's not a globe? Now, are you saying that no matter what it is, flat, globe, triangle, doesn't matter, that you figured it out? Now, if you figured it out, understand that you will get a Nobel Prize. Second, I would like to see how you figured this out. How do you figure out that it's a flat Earth? Anybody. Goes for anybody. Top of the flat Earth food chain to the bottom. Doesn't matter. How have you figured out it's flat without the science because you don't trust it? How did you figure out it was flat? Now, there are a lot of other aspects that are talked about on flat Earth, but I believe that they don't have anything to do with flat Earth. I think a lot of the argument is spanned off of flat Earth to keep it off of flat Earth. What's up, Flat Earth Victoria, Canada? Says laugh out loud. You weren't a flat earther. Once you go flat, you don't go back. Actually, you're right. I was not a flat earther. I was someone who believed it was flat. Unfortunately, I guess for me, and for how I believe it to be, I asked a lot of questions, and flat earthers weren't giving. I wasn't getting any answers from flat earthers that were in it longer than I was. When you use science to figure it out and you break it down, too many things lead to a globe. Now, again, I ask, if you have a way of explaining how it's a flat Earth, I would love to hear it, because I was at the point in time when I was a flat earther that it was time to be able to show for the efforts and show for all the time spent researching. And when it came down time to add everything together and put two and two together, I didn't get flat. I got a globe. Things work on a globe. Predictions work on a globe. Science works on a globe. When you put it to flat Earth, why is it that nothing works? Why can't you use science? Why is science not work for flat Earth? Why do predictions not work if you use a flat Earth? Why aren't there evidences that we could use to deduce, no matter what, cut and dry, we live on a flat Earth? It would be to that scale simple. Time is not the problem. I understand a lot of people keep saying, well, we don't have time. And I understand people have lives. And I understand people aren't professionals at a certain aspect of figuring this out. I get it. But because anybody can take science and do their own experiments to fact check science, I'm not seeing where anyone fact checks science, shows it's wrong, and then brought that to the table. I would like to see that. I need to see that. Again, guys, if it's not a globe, well, guess what? We're wrong. But someone would need to prove that science is wrong. Now, the problem with proving science is wrong is because in your quest to tell us that science does not work, science is not credible, you then have to use our science to prove science is incredible. Is there an alternative? I would like to hear it. There's no alternatives. Is there an alternative to gravity? Is there an alternative to sunrise, sunset? Because even the experiments that you're showing to try to prove these things don't show these things. I had a conversation with a guy named Chris. He tried to explain to me how going the sunset and sunrise and clouds under the sun and all these things weren't depicted correctly. He directed me to a Rob Skiba video, and the Rob Skiba video didn't show how what he's saying was correct. He showed a method of showing how a light can stay in the scene. The problem was the setup wasn't anything like what we depict in the sunrise sunset. The observational point wasn't as you depict it from as a flat earther. None of it worked. It was two completely different situations. And you want to use that as proof. It's not. It can't be. The same way I can't use proof that would be so null and void, had nothing to do with the globe, so you wouldn't take it. So, what's up, Johnny? It says, I am Victoria, BC. I can look across and see Port Angeles 20 miles away, and no part of PA is missing. Ferry goes across the day daily and does not go over 260 foot of curve. Just common sense. Okay, well, the problem with that is with 20 miles, you're not going to have that much. Now, the 8-inch squared per mile, again, I'll explain this, and I do have a background in this, so it is not bullshit. I promise you. 8-inch, when they say 8-inch per or 8 squared per square mile, understand that is the kiddie way of explaining it. If you were to explain to somebody who doesn't know the industry, you would give them a neutral answer, an answer that just gives a, so you understand. The realization is that at a certain amount of distance, you would have to use what's called an offset. An offset is something that takes into account the fact that we don't live on a perfect ball and or a perfectly flat plane. So you would then have to adjust. Those offsets then would take a whole different turn from 8 inches squared per mile. Understand, it would actually be easier to use 0.67 feet per square mile because of the distance you're trying to use. But even then, you're still having to use offsets, and that's why we know it's not a perfect ball. Now, when you say you can see 20 miles, I understand what you're saying, but the problem with that is it's still not going to have that much curvature. I would ask for a photo so we can see the evidence that you don't see any obstruction, because there's too many pictures of obstruction to account for. That'd be the only thing I could ask for. I don't think that'd be too much. You'd obviously want to be able to show it. There's plenty. I mean, one of the big things that was going on with Flat Earth was the infrared imaging of the San Isidro Mountains, I believe it was. The problem was when that guy showed you the numbers, he didn't show you the true numbers. He didn't show you the hidden curve, the stuff that was hit, the part of the mountain that was hidden compared to where the city was. Because what he didn't show was 4,000 feet of hidden mountain that you don't see. And if that was put in that video, it would have been clear that there's curve. I mean, his whole setup shows there's curve except for his numbers because he left it out. Yeah, and Johnny, that's exactly what it is. I was, Victoria, whether you want to believe I was a flat earther or not, that's on you. I believed it was flat. I did not BS it. I literally jumped into it. I literally tried to find answers. And what it is I actually want to know the truth. Now, when I say that, there are people that I believe don't care. There are people who aren't interested in looking things up, whether it be other conspiracies or even where we live. They don't really put much effort into it. I did. I put a lot of effort into it. I took a lot of notes. I have things to show for it. And what had happened is once I got to a certain point, I realized I didn't really have a true understanding of how the globe works to be able to tell you where I lived. So when it came to that point, I said, okay, I need answers. I went to flat earthers. I made an effort to figure out things and get answers. And when it came down to it, I put those evidences side by side. It's a globe. Now, when it comes to figuring this out, I go about it a whole different route. I don't believe this discussion needs disrespect. This discussion does not need to be slanderous. All it needs to be is a discussion on what we observe, what we have as evidence, and where we live. So my being here as a glober is not a glober like the ones that will outright be calling people names, being disrespectful. This is a spot where everyone can talk about it. So if you would like to come on my panel, just know there is no disrespect. I do not allow it. If someone came on my panel disrespecting, I would kick them off, and they know that. But let's figure out where we live then. Let's figure out why you believe you live on a flat earth and then the evidences you would have for that. Because, yes, there are instances where we do observe something that we're not sure or that science knows isn't how it is. So we call those phenomenons, mirages, or different aspects of fractions and all this other stuff. But there are answers for it still, and yes, a lot of those are kind of, in my opinion, even half-assed answered. But if we have mirages, those mirages do act the same, so we know they're mirages. For certain phenomenons happen, we observe those phenomenons. We may not know exactly why it's happening, science, I'm saying, but they happen, and we continuously see them happen, which is how we're constantly able to update our data, and then soon, hopefully, figure it out. One of the aspects of things that I have a still problem with, like I was saying a minute ago before the stream issues, is gravity. I understand how gravity works now. I get the dimensions of the 90 degrees, always pulling from every direction, all that. But I also have a question of why doesn't it work? Why doesn't our galaxy work correctly? Now, one of the things I did when I was a flat earther is I used this to disprove gravity, or in my opinion, disprove gravity. If the galaxy is observed to do a certain thing, so if you guys don't understand or know, the center of the galaxy and the outer edges of our galaxy have a rotation, and they are the same speed. Now, with science used, we do not get that happening. It shouldn't happen. We know that with this, the outside of any object like that's in a rotation spinning, the outside needs to cover more ground. Therefore, it would have to move faster, which also means what we should see are stars and planets flung off into the universe. Okay, that's issue one that I have. Now, when they do crunch the numbers to figure this out, what they have gotten from their answers are that there should be over 10 times more mass to the galaxy to create this much gravity, the enough gravity to have the characteristics our galaxy does. Now, science has made it very clear they don't know why this happens. If you don't understand or know what I'm talking about, this is dark matter, dark energy. These are the placeholders they've used to speak on this anomaly. When they're talking about these things, you need to understand they are being 100% forthcoming in the fact that this is how it works. Absolutely, you can share the link. Link to the live stream, link to the hangout, everything's good to go. Anybody can jump on. But the realization, like I said, guys, is not only, you have to use evidence, and that evidence is clearly there. It's not something that you can say doesn't exist, because it does. I know you don't like to admit it, but it does exist. Again, if you don't believe these things, the same way I've explained certain things and broke them down with science involved, I would need to know how you're breaking these things down without science. It doesn't make sense to me. What's up, Gary? How you doing, sir?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Let me see. Make sure they can hear you real quick. Give me one quick second. All right. Now they can hear you. Gary, you on Bro Sanchez's live stream last night actually inspired this live stream. So, yeah. So they were asking. Well, the conversation started going to at the certain point of gravity wells and gravity, and you said something to them that was very honest of you to do, and they should have taken into account. They showed you a picture of a gravity well that was basically a depiction and not even correct. And with that being how the gravity well sits on the center, because that's how gravity works. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they had.
Yes. Yes. So what I did is I actually found an image. I'll go ahead and share it on the Hangout real quick. I have it in the. I'm not sure if are you watching the YouTube watch page or no? Okay. Well, I'll share it in here so you can see what I'm talking about as well. 1 second. I'll find this real quick. But yeah, it was there. You guys were talking about this, and when you tried to correct them on just the fact that it's not a good depiction of it, They jump all over you about it. And I think you have to, because if you don't correct it, what ends up happening is people get an idea of something that's not it, or it doesn't make sense, or it can be used to say it doesn't make sense for obvious reasons, right? I mean, if I saw a gravity well under Earth, how the hell does that work? It would be the main question. So this was what I want to talk about. Oh, you jumped out again. I'm not sure what the hell he jumped out for. Maybe it's his connection. But anyway, guys, this is a gravity well. This is what I was talking about, and I wanted to talk about because um, it literally explains exactly how it works. One of the big questions is how does a gravity well work, and how is the moon tidally locked if if it's if it's in Earth's gravity well? Well, here's how it works. You guys can see this gravity well, the way it works. This cone, the one that's on the Earth, forget the moon for the second, that's in every single direction, no matter where you look, point, or want to talk about. It's right there. It's everywhere. This is not just one gravity well, so you guys understand. This thing is every single direction you can think of around the Earth in for your relative position. This is one person's gravity well will say. Well, the moon has been in this gravity well for a very long time. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and make it so you can show. All right, Victoria Earth or Flat Earth Victoria, Canada. You can share now. So go ahead and share that link. I do apologize. Um, so in the time that it's been in this cone, so you guys can see it. Yeah. So in the time that it's been in that gravity well, it's slowed. It's actually become tidal locked. In the time it's been in this gravity well. Now, with that said, it's only been in our observable time past maybe one or two of these little notches at the top. And as it does leave our system, because it is orbiting and it has its own gravity that's pulling it away. It's a centrifugal force. It's going to basically become not tidal locked. When? I have no clue. Okay, so I got the image. Okay, so these are your. Okay. I'm not 100% sure which one I'm looking at to find the 20-mile one. Is it going to be marked? Definitely got a lot. So I mean, if it's in here and this is your proof, then good to know. Let's see here. I think maybe it's this. Let me go ahead and share this real quick. And before I share it, Flat Earth Victoria, Canada, you have no problem with all these images, right, being shared? I'm not sure because I saw a couple with people in them, and I don't want to dox you. Oh, no worries, no, no worries, no worries at all. Showing the water is not curving. Okay, so in the meantime of that, I got him. One of the people in the chat says that they could see. Let me go ahead and find what they said. So they said, "I am in Victoria, British Columbia. Uh, I can look across and see Port Angeles 20 miles away, and no part of Port Angeles is missing. Ferry goes across and does not go over a 260 foot of curvature. Just common sense. The reasoning for flat Earth." Now let me go ahead and share these. All right, there's the picture. All right, perfect. Okay, so I'm looking in the chat right now, and so let me know which one of these is the one you wanted me to use as what you were saying, because I've never been there, so I don't know which images are the one looking across. I can go to the one I thought was it. This one. I'm assuming this may be the one that you were talking about in the chat. If not, I'm not sure, but we'll go to this one just because, be able to investigate a little bit more. So I'm going to save it because I want to be able to do this. Okay, first off, I would say back off a little bit. So the issue there is I'm not going to be able to zoom in too well. Yeah, uh, the distance I have an issue with as well. But even with that said, I would need to know your elevation because from this image, it appears that you're pretty high off the ground. It's not going to be you're not on sea level. You're not 6 feet off the ground. You're definitely higher. So that definitely plays a part in what you would see. The other ones is because that looked about the only one you'd be able to use. 30 miles. So I'm pretty sure that was correct. But just kind of scanning through trying to see if these are anything else. So I'm going to assume that was the one you were talking about because I don't see anything else that would pander to it. But in this image that we're looking at now, pass it up. I'll just go here. One, I would say I can see missing area already. Just looking at this, it's obviously not going to be the best image that we're going to look at. I would play with it. I can actually do. I actually wanted to, because what I want to do is I want to open this in my. I want to open this in my my little paint thing I have, and what I want to do is I want to see if. Here we go. We'll do that. If we can make it so we can kind of get a better imaging of what we're looking at. I scrolled down, but this was the only one I saw that had something that was a distance away. Again, if this isn't the right one, let me know, and I'll scroll to the other ones. Oh, there we go. Okay, so when we're looking at this image, I'm seeing missing area already. Unless the beach line is in the buildings themselves. The best thing I would do was if I knew exact locations, I would check the elevations. Kind of, there you go. I would check the elevations for these mountains in the distance. Again, I don't know the elevations, but to say that there's no curvature, those things I would need. I would definitely need to know what the elevation of the person taking the picture, and then the elevation of those mountains, so I could to decide whether or not there's missing. If that makes any sense. Okay, so the mountain on the right. So that's what I'm gonna do. So the view is from Victoria to Port Angeles. The mountain you're saying is Mount Douglas. Okay, so this is what we'll do. Let's find out. Let's break this down and try to figure this out together, because obviously that'd probably be the best way to doing it, right? So let's go to use Google Maps. Yes, I am retarded, so you want to help me out on finding this. And was it British Columbia? I'm pretty sure that's towards the east, isn't it? Or am I just completely off bad? There it is. Okay, so I was very wrong. It's on the west side. Okay, let's file Mount Douglas. Okay, let's make sure it's in that area. Okay, Mount Douglas is there. This is the area we want, so find out. Find out the elevation for Mount Douglas. So Mount Douglas is 11,000 write this down. 11,283 feet. Now, that in itself draws a huge problem. If that mountain's 11,283 feet, I have a hard time believing that that mountain is we're seeing that much of that mountain. Wouldn't you say? You're saying this one on the right, right? Oh, okay. So the other pictures are so these are like zoomed in right here. Because again, are we in the same spot? What is the elevation of these pictures being taken? Those would definitely need to be known. Um, because when I'm looking at these right here, these lower ones, they seem to be a lot closer. I would even say that these are the pictures they took as they were getting there, rather than from the same spot. Yeah, because what I'm seeing is images that seem to be yeah, okay, so it says starting with 30 miles out and eventually making our way into the harbor. So this is from the start. They're on a cruise ship, which means they're definitely elevated. I'd say maybe 100, 150 feet. I don't know. I have no clue. I'm not going to say that those are exact numbers. But every image we're looking at is on their way there. So to say the distance or they're zooming in and then you're getting the whole thing where you're not losing anything for curvature, you can't use that as evidence here. I'm not sure if that's what you're even saying, but um, what we're looking at is definitely, we're starting here. This is at 30 miles. I believe if the mountain on the right is 11,000 feet high, that there's definitely something missing. There's definitely some of that mountain missing. Some of the beach is probably missing. But you can't use these next images to say this is them zoomed in and nothing's missing. Because if you zoomed in from that 30 miles, you would see missing stuff in the picture. But from what the person who posted this said, it's a admittance that they are getting closer to it as they take these pictures, and we also know that they're not at sea level or 6 feet. They're probably a good 100 feet, 150 feet tall. If I'm looking at this boat, I think there was one of the cruise ship. Yeah, so maybe not even that close. Maybe even 30 feet, 20 feet at the best. Maybe 30 feet if they're on this top part. But yeah, not 100, not 100 at all, guys. So I do apologize if don't mean that to be exact. But like I said, even then, getting closer, we only have one image of it at 30 miles, and I can use my little imaging thing I have to get closer to it. But again, I'm not seeing a 30-mile span without 30-mile span without nothing missing really. It says that's right. You can see from the first photo, 30 miles out of the sea, the city is visible. Okay, but the city is visible, but we also know from the pictures that you showed us that everything's on a hill. So they're elevated off the sea level for one. Um, I'm not a if see that's the other thing. If that's Mount Douglas in the background, I mean you're not seeing a lot of that mountain. I mean, it's the way it is. And okay, so let's do this. Um, okay, I get that you're saying the buildings are visible, but which buildings? Because when you're looking at this picture, going to 30 mile, this one. Okay, so from okay, so I see one small building or one speck right here, and then everything else is right in between here, right? Yeah, hopefully you guys can see my cursor. Um, then when I scroll down to the other pictures that start getting there, all those buildings that I see are probably the ones that I see up on these hills. But as you pan across to the left of the picture my cursor is, the ones that are on the beach are probably the ones you don't see. Again, I don't want to say 100% because I honestly I'm looking at pictures and don't have a real depiction of actually what I'm looking at, so it's kind of hard for me to say that. But everything that's on the shoreline, um, in the top picture, I only saw one white speck. I didn't see a bunch of buildings. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But again, that's only my perspective of it. But yeah, like when I'm looking at this image on this side over here, if you're talking sea level, I only see one speck. That one speck, I should be able to see everything. And then the buildings I do see in the images we saw lower than this, those buildings are all on a hill, or part of that mountain, or on a mountain side or something like that, right? Does Victoria only has buildings on the harbor that are visible? Mount Douglas is on the east side of the island. Well, that's not true, because if they're only on the harbor, then these pictures are lying, because these buildings are definitely higher up than the harbor, the sea level. All these over here, this is what I think you see. As you get higher up, these are the ones you're seeing. I get that these are all in the harbor, and I don't think we even see these ones. There was a picture in here I think I saw that I would say maybe is the white speck that I saw. This one, maybe one of these buildings over here, or this one on the right side. But again, in that top picture, we're not seeing a bunch of buildings on the harbor. We're seeing a bunch of buildings on a hill. I mean, again, if I'm wrong, please explain where I'm wrong. But what I'm looking at right now is is I can see the buildings on that are up on that hill, and I can't see buildings that aren't on that hill. And we know from those pictures that there's a lot of buildings on the harbor. So I would say that this picture doesn't show no curvature; it actually shows curvature. I mean, again, do this. Shits and giggles, let's do this real quick. Okay, so we're gonna say the observer most likely for right now was at 25 feet. We'll say 30 feet up from sea level to the top of where that boat was, right? And if I'm wrong in my numbers, Flyer Victoria, let me know. I'll fix them. I will do another one. So at that point, it says the horizon line distance is 6 miles, and target hidden height would be 361 feet. So at 361 feet would be missing. So now what I would do is I would want to find the elevation for that port. Let's do that now. So we can find out along that whole harbor the elevation of all those buildings. Because if the buildings that I said I believe were on a hill were anything around 300 feet high off sea level, then that's what you're seeing. But let's go ahead and break it down. So first off, let's start from where this is beginning. Where is Mount Douglas? Was here, I remember. This is Mount Douglas, and everything on the east is what you're looking at. Elevation. Okay, so it said horizon line 6 miles, and you can see 20 miles across. Okay, but that's not explaining anything. That's why I'm doing it this way. Um, Perfect. There's a topo right there. Okay, so Mount Douglas. I do apologize. I got a reference from the other one because I don't know where Mount Douglas is. From the U.S. Okay. Let's start there because I don't know where either side is. So let's find out where both of them are. Because like I said, I don't know where either side is, so I do apologize. Let's let's clarify and let's find the spots that we know things are, so we don't keep doing it. So Port Angeles. I see what the problem was for me on my end of it. So that's Port Angeles. Let's get a distance. Okay, perfect. Now I see. Thank you for correcting me on that one, Flat Earth. Thank you very much. So the distance right there, be Victoria. Looking at 20 miles. Okay, so Mount Douglas. Let's see. Mount Douglas is, I don't remember, I thought Mount Douglas was a little further back. Maybe I was wrong. Yeah, the pictures, those other ones were taken in the part where they're talking at the very beginning. They even state that every picture is it eventually, them on their way to the harbor. Now, if it's 20 miles, it's not 30 miles. That changes everything. So let's go back to this curve calculator. So we know it's 20 miles. So that means 117 feet is actually is supposed to be hidden. And this is roughly, okay? I'm not even going to say exact 117. This is roughly. So at that point, I mean, we need elevation now. So, it's right here. There's the port, and then so this is where the elevation is. Water. Coastline. Not giving me an elevation. Saying I keep saying invalid. Putting it in water, am I? Alright, well, for some reason it's not working. Hear it. Try this again. Alright, I don't know why my elevation thing isn't working, so in that sense, I guess we can't use it. But there is a topo, so we'll try to use that. Okay, so you guys don't know what a topo is. It's basically a map that shows you the elevations of everything, so kind of makes it a little easier for me, at least, to use it. I'm not seeing anything above 3,000 feet for one. I'm not really sure. I can't use 11,000 feet to find Mount Douglas, but again, I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary. The coastline is going to show me the 50 feet, just because of where it's at. See, just along this coastline alone, it's 100 feet. Um, Another coastline's at 100 feet right here. See, 50 feet, 50 feet. So we know the coast isn't going to be zero all along through there. I'm seeing 50 feet all the way around it. These little 50 footers right here, which to me would mean that it's at least 50 feet, and we know those buildings are on hills. So I'm sorry, but I found 100 plus feet worth of what you can see in that image. Um, you saw where I kind of did wrong in my depiction of that. Again, these buildings right here, um, look look above that 100 feet that you would need to be able to still see them. Whereas when we don't see anything on the left, go back to the pictures again. All right, did wrong. Again, like I said, in this image, buildings on this right side are of the elevation that I would think they would be. As you, I mean, matter of fact, your images that you showed us actually shows there is curvature to be missing, and I'll show you. See what you see here. As you go down, you will start to see, as they get closer, you're going to start to see more and more buildings. More and more buildings in that harbor. More and more buildings. More buildings. Well, that one's kind of to the right. But I mean, I'm seeing buildings that I didn't see before. All over here on the left. I mean, you're showing us, you showed us proof with curvature. And it took me a second to realize that, but yeah, from the start, again, we'll start over. Every time you look at one of these images, we're seeing more and more buildings as they get closer, which would depict that every time they took a picture, as they got closer and closer, they are able to see more and more. You showed us pictures showing curvature, not disproving curvature. And if I'm wrong, I mean, again, I'm literally just scrolling through these pictures, and that's what I'm seeing. You're saying the photos is pretty clear to me. I know what I am looking at Victoria Harbor, and the buildings are clearly visible. Put it in this way, I have watched the 4th of July fireworks from sea level in Victoria. That would be impossible if Earth was a ball. They are conducent from the distance, and they are too far away. I again, I wouldn't use these as your evidence anymore. These, if they're too far away to see the buildings, I mean, I can say right now, I mean, every time we look, there are definitely more buildings in each picture we see as they got closer. There's no way around it. I'm not trying to make waves. I'm not trying to call you. I just don't think you realized it when you looked at these images. I don't think you took how. I don't think you broke it down like I just did, and can't say that I lied or I didn't break it down correctly. I probably did more breaking down of these photos than anyone else does on their live streams, and what we're looking at is evidence of curvature, not evidence against curvature. If I looked at it wrong, correct me, please. I do want to figure this out. But again, we're not looking at evidence for not curvature. You're wrong. You can clearly see the buildings. They are, but you see them. Again, I mean, guys, I told you I could be wrong, but at the same time, what we're looking at is to me seems more evidence for curvature than against, because I'm seeing more as I'm not only seeing them clearly, but I'm seeing more of buildings I didn't see. Hmm? Yeah, well, I had to use our science to and our the numbers that we have to conclude that this isn't what we're seeing. The picture you're looking at right now in the Hangout, Gary, this is the first image. So you saw this. Um, in the chat, what she's saying is that um, you can't see it. But again, like the fact that when I scroll down in each picture I'm able to see more buildings clearer. It doesn't say that. I mean, to me, that means there was stuff hidden. I'm not seeing because in that first picture, I got closer. I used my little picture editor thing to get closer. And again, right here in this little spot on the left is the only place I can see buildings. If I'm really, if it's the detail of a building is being seen, and then all the buildings on the right are all these ones right here that you can see in this image that are up on this hill. Yeah, I mean, again, I I would hope that everybody would break these images down same way. I'll go ahead and share the link in the chat again that Flat Earth Victoria Canada shared, so that way anybody can do this, and you can, and if you can, go ahead and correct what I thought I saw, because to me, I'm looking at curvature really, and these are the type of things that I noticed when when I was trying to figure all this stuff out. I noticed right away that things didn't add up like they were supposed to be adding up, and that was the biggest problem to me. Let's see here, because I'm trying to get the chat for you guys, or the link for you guys. I'm sorry. But see, that was the issue with me because I had a disconnect. I openly admit that, but at the same time, I didn't disconnect and and refuse to to believe anything. Like no matter what, whether you believe something or not, you have to break it down, and it makes more sense once you break it down. So he says, okay, I literally broke it down. If anybody can break it down differently to show different, then please do. But Flat Earth Victoria Canada, I literally broke that down. And I'm not someone who's going to come on here and lie about how I broke it down. I did it on my live stream. What's up, Dre Myers? How you doing, sir? Much respect to you, my friend. Um, yeah, but it's a lot of the things that I'm noticing now are just it's a misunderstanding of it, not understanding what the concept of what you're showing. So, like I said, um, I've noticed a lot of people breaking down evidence, not even breaking down evidence before they present the evidence. I did that when I was a flat earther. That was one of my biggest problems. But yeah, use the cross sections of the Great Lakes system. Show me where the curvature is. I don't know. I know where the Great Lakes are, but I don't know what section you would be talking about. But I will. I mean, I could try at least, right? Um, links out there, guys. More than welcome to jump on the channel, open panel. Let's just figure shit out. If you have a Flat Earth Victoria, if there's an issue with the way I broke it down, you're more than welcome to come on here and I will I will go through all the steps you would like me to go through to figure out what is being shown. But for instance, if you were to send me that link and I wasn't online live right now, that's how I would have broke it down. I would have zoomed in, I would have zoomed out. A lot of times I'll change the exposure to see if maybe I'm not seeing something. I'll check the distances. I want to know the elevations. But all those things should be more than enough to come to a conclusion of what you're looking at, I would think. And for you to say that I didn't break it down, that's not being truthful. But hey, again, if I did it wrong, please show me what I did it wrong. But so we were talking about this gravity well and the moon just moving out. Matter of fact, Dre, I think you were the one. I'm not. I don't want to say you were the one who brought it up, but I think you may have been. But the fact that the moon is tidally locked to us has nothing to do with the fact that the moon is actually moving away from us. They're two different things. The tidal lock happens because it's in our gravity well. It moving out of our gravity well has nothing to do with it being tidal locked, though. Once the moon leaves our gravity well, it will no longer be tidal locked, and it will most likely go somewhere. It's not going to stay there. Exactly true. True Blue says you can only zoom in on an object that are not hidden. A camera can't magically make objects appear. Exactly. Yes. Hmm? Yeah, we know it most likely would have been slower the closer it was to us, but the idea that a gravity well and a tidal lock are together isn't correct. It became tidally locked because it's in our gravity well. It is not. It's not tidally locked because it's not going to be. It moving away will have nothing to do with it being tidally locked. Basically, it's in the gravity well right now, so it will become tidally locked. Yeah, yeah, I don't think it could. Um, I want to make this a little bit easier for people because I think, like I said, man, I think a lot of the issue is just that understanding of how it actually works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this screen real quick and then share it on the Hangout so you can see it as well, Gary. So you can correct me if I'm wrong. Um, so this is our image that we're going to use for explaining this gravity well. Now, I found this wonderful program, so I can now draw on this as I talk about it. Let me see here. That pulls up. Okay, so like I was saying, this is our gravity well. I don't know if you'll be able to even see this part. Oh, yeah, you will. Perfect. Okay, so if this is the gravity well, as of right now, forget that because that's just a depiction. But the moon, we'll say, is right about here in the gravity well. So this is where the moon is, right there. Make this red so you are different colors so you can see it. Right there. That's about where the moon is. Now, throughout this whole thing, the moon can be tidally locked. It will become tidally locked some point inside this gravity well because it's in the gravity well, right? Now, it's moving away. It will be tidally locked. It will take effect. The tidal lock will happen no matter where it's at here. Now, once it moves outside of Earth, once it comes out here, the moon's going to shoot out. It's not going to be locked in by anything. Nothing's going to be holding it. It's going to move. It's going away. That's when the moon will be dangerously moved away. We'll never see that. That's not going to happen for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's pretty much a good explanation for it, right, Gary? As good as I can really get it. Okay, yeah. So every direction. Yeah. So this gravity well. So if what we're saying is this spot is the gravity well that we're looking at. Well, that gravity well is 90 degrees to our perspective, correct? Everywhere. But every single dot you see here, every dot has a gravity well in whatever direction. So if they're in California, their gravity well obviously does not work that way. Their gravity well is going to be like this. Their gravity well over here is going to be like this. Everyone's gravity well works in every single direction. Every direction you can think of has a gravity well. Your own gravity well to wherever the hell you're at. Every object has a gravity well. Don't think that that's just one on us. There's zillions and billions and zillions and billions and billions and zillions of gravity wells. if you wanted to really get technical with it. But the idea that the the moon's tidal lock and the gravity well are hand in hand is not true. It doesn't work that way. So that's it. That was pretty easy, straightforward. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions. Let me go ahead and look at the chat. And I mean, pretty pretty simple. What's up, So You Can Find? How you doing, sir? You said you're cooking. No problem. If you get a chance, jump on the panel. There's this tidal locking isn't in the equation. What do you mean it's not in the equation? Because it is. In the chat, Gary hasn't been talking. He said a few words. So you not hearing him was him listening, basically. But everything's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Well, someone in the chat had asked. They said they couldn't hear you, and I was just letting them know the reason they couldn't hear you is because you weren't saying anything. It was pretty much me talking the whole time. No, but I do that quite often, so it's not out of the ordinary of happening. Guys, again, chat is open. The panel is open. If you want to come in and explain to me why what I said explained is wrong, we can try to get to the bottom of that. But again, I've taken images from a flat earther who said it was no curvature. I've showed him exactly how it actually depicts curvature, and now we're moving on. Dre in the chat says that let me see where. Okay, so I see what you're saying. So the moon, well, that's just first it would depend on where the moon's coming in at, right? Because the moon isn't on a straight track, but
Right.
no, it just has to line up at that particular time. Yeah.
I don't understand why.
Yeah, it would first it would depend on where you're at, because where you're at, you're going to have a different perspective of where the moon is at. It's again, I think that's more of the understanding that there is, like you were saying a minute ago, there is no down, up or down, left or right in space. Um, for me, it was hard to grasp that idea. It's still hard for me, but I have a decent idea of how that works when I'm thinking of it right now. So, like right now, I'm thinking I'm in San Diego, and obviously, I am not upside down. The reason if you travel south towards the equator and say I'm going to Antarctica, the reason you're never upside down is because the way it works, the way gravity works, is your brain, your body, nothing goes upside down when gravity is pulling you to the center. Everything is up because quote unquote down is the center. So that means in Australia, their down is the center, which means up is their space. Space will always be up. That's why you're not upside down. Exactly. Yes. Uh-huh. And I learned that through my wonderful acceleration education research. So understand this. This is why you don't feel Earth moving as well. So if you're describing these things happening, we'll say acceleration, which we know we feel. Now, when you say speed, if I say we're going 5 miles an hour, does that tell you guys the direction we're going? No. So that's why you don't feel speed, first of all, because speed is not a direction, it's not in the direction you're going. Acceleration, velocity depicts the direction you're going. I'm going 5 miles. I'm going north at 5 miles an hour. You don't feel Earth moving because Earth is at its constant. It's not changing speeds. It's not changing directions. Let's say it did, we would feel it. So, wonder why you don't feel it? That's why. If it did, we would feel it, though. That's just the way it is, the way it works. If you don't understand it, we can break it down some more. But I mean, I can't break down everything unless I know what you don't understand, guys. So if you're in the chat and you're flat Earth, you're more than welcome to come on the panel, or you can say it in the chat. I don't mind, but let's get to the bottom of what you guys don't understand. Jay said, I'm saying tidal locking has nothing to do with the moon's apparent escape from Earth's gravity. You're 100% right. It has nothing to do with it. It being tidally locked happened because it's in the gravity well. It's moving out. It's escaping Earth's gravity well. Has nothing to do with tidal lock. But it is escaping the gravity well because it has its own gravity for one. And the further away it gets, as it gets further away, the less and less is holding it. The tidal lock happened because it does feel Earth's gravity. It moving away, you still feel Earth's gravity, but you're moving away. Just the same way you get in a hot air balloon. You're in Earth's gravity. The balloon is affected by that gravity, but you're still moving away. The fact that you're moving away in a balloon is due to the helium, the hot air is expanding. Well, the moon is doing it because it's orbiting us. If you get a ball and you make that ball orbit you, you're going to feel that ball pulling away from you. That's what the moon is doing, moving away. Now, it is yeah, what's up? Hey, how you doing, man? Absolutely. Floor is yours. Okay, see. Yeah, hang on 1 second, because they're saying in the chat that they can't hear anybody. But yeah, let me go ahead and fix it, because everything I'm looking at says it is, but that would mean, hang on 1 second. In 1 second, guys. I'm actually trying to listen to back to the live stream to make sure. All right, yeah. So yeah, no one can hear you guys. So give me a second. I need to figure out why this is happening. Shouldn't be. So all my settings are good. Yeah, I don't see why they can't hear you. Everything's set correctly. See. Go ahead and guys say something for me real quick? Let me check it. Check it right now. Settings are okay. Yeah, I know for a fact no one can hear you guys. I don't know. I'm looking at all my settings right now. Delete. I'm not seeing any. I'm not really seeing a reason why no one can hear. Yeah, I'm not seeing. And it's been that way through the whole stream, right? You guys haven't been able to hear me at all, or you hear the hangout at all? Fuck. Let me see. I don't. That doesn't even me. Ah, okay. Oh, you came in because you couldn't hear. You want? Okay, I see. Let me see here. I don't even know what to look at to see why it's not doing that. That maybe. All right. Let's try that. Go ahead and say something real quick. Some one of you guys say something for me, so they can see if I can hear you guys in the chat beside this hangout. Anybody? Somebody? Yeah. Thank you. All right. Yeah. So I still don't have anything. Yeah. My output signal output my desktop is still turned on. Checked the signal. It's try monitor the outsource. We'll see if that works. Go ahead and try that again, guys. I apologize again. No. So yeah. Okay. So you said something. So let's see if it'll work now. Let me guys know if you guys hear Gary in a second. Actually, it would already happened by now. Ox, there it goes. I think we probably did hear you. All right, so I think you guys are good to go now. I'm pretty sure everyone can hear you. If it is, then something happened to my settings that I've never had to do ever in my life. So that was weird. But everyone should be able to hear you now. I'm about to get the feedback in a second, so I'll know. But pretty sure they can hear you now. I didn't promise you'll hear it. I can't promise because I'm hearing you in the loop. Okay, yep, they can hear you now. All right, we're good to go. Figured it out. All right, so everyone can hear you guys now. I apologize for that. I've never in my life had to change my desktop audio to output and device. That's weird as fuck. Um, no. So when we're on, I'll even show you guys because it's weird. Delete. You probably will know exactly what I'm talking about when I show this. So what you're looking at now is the way you set up audios to the tracks, and I see why it didn't do it. There you go. That's what it is. Okay, so when I set up like a video or something, I have to use these to make it so you hear it. And I can make it so people can hear sound or won't be able to hear the sound, but I will, and then I can turn it off completely. I've never had to turn it to this monitor and output setting to be able to for them to hear you. That's never happened before, and that's what I had to change. So I don't know what the hell that's all about. I'll have to make sure I check that in the beginning. Guys, I apologize. Actually, they had this whole time. They've actually said enough that you should have heard it. I do apologize for that. Crude. I don't know if you want to explain that again. How the title lock works. If you would, I'd appreciate it. If you don't want to, I completely understand. um, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, luckily, I think I explained everything. He had a better way of explaining the title lock situation, so I kind of upset myself that you guys didn't get to hear that right off the bat. Delete, I appreciate you coming in and saying something because I actually at the time I thought everyone should be able to hear me. But again, the things that I showed today are definite reasons for why I knew it wasn't flat. A little while ago, someone, Flat Earth Victoria, came on and we're showing these images, which I'll show you guys again. We'll kind of just do a good rundown of everything that kind of happened today. Saying that the images that the link that they shared, which is this link, I'll share it again. So this is the link that I'm going to be working off of. Said that this image, I should share it with you guys, huh? Which one did I use to share it? I'm all fucking confused on what I wanted to use. I don't know where anything is. Here we go. Okay, so these are the images, like I was saying, that we were using, or the link that I was sent to use as proof of curvature. Unfortunately, I didn't get that. Here, okay, so again, when I looked at these pictures, and guys, if you want, please go through it and scrutinize it and show me where I did wrong. But from this image, the first image, 30, or they say 30 miles, but I got 20, but we'll use 30. Every time we look at each one of these pictures, I'm sorry, guys, I'll share this, maybe a little easier for you. I think that's probably what I did last time. Okay, so again, so don't need to share it on that one, but anyway, this is the first one. And again, it says right here at the top, starting with 30 miles out and eventually making our way into the harbor. So the pictures are showing us as we get closer. This does not show no curvature. It actually is proof of curvature because closer we got in these images, the more we were able to see of the buildings that weren't seen further away. The buildings that we saw in the top picture, I stated were because they're on this hill. I went through a rough map, a topo, a topo of it, which again showed that a lot of this coast was about 50 feet above sea level, which is why it would make sense that most of these buildings were at about 100 feet. So at 30 or 20 to 30 miles, with 117 feet that should have been missing, that's why you didn't see all the rest of the buildings. Again, if I'm wrong, show me. If I'm right, then I'm right. It shows curvature. It doesn't show not curvature, it shows curvature. That's just where we came through with this. Now, I wish I had an idea of how to explain what Crude was saying about the tidal locking and gravity, but I don't know how to. I don't understand it enough to explain it to you guys confidently, so I won't. Luckily, but if there's a way of breaking down, or I'm sorry, Dre, I see you in there. You said, how about the Abyss plains? These are known to be flat. Earth is says 71% water. So where's all the curve? Well, the amount of water on Earth and the curvature aren't the same thing. They have nothing to do with each other. You wouldn't say the Earth is 70%, 71% water, and the curve be into that. I guess you would say the amount of water doesn't change if there's curvature or not. The abyssal plains. Let's look it up. Not 100% sure what that is. Yeah, what's up? Yes, please. I apologize that you have to do that again, but I do know they can hear you now. So. Okay. Here we go. Okay.
If it is too close to Earth, then it will experience a big difference between near and far side. It will deformate because every object is elastic. Nothing is perfectly hard, and because it is deformated and it rotates, this deformation moves and it heats the moon, and moon receives this as heat and converts it to heat, and therefore this heat must be taken from somewhere, and it is taken from its rotation speed. So therefore it will be rotating slower and slower and slower, and finally it will stop.
Okay.
And it will face to the Earth only one face.
Yes.
This is the mechanism how it works.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, so in a sense, every force that does play a factor plays a factor in what the moon's doing, and that's the reason it's moving away, why it's tidal locked, and why it hasn't just flung off already. So
Yeah, it's moving away is a little bit different. It's moon's gravity forcing our oceans to move.
Mhm.
This causes tides, and because of resistance of the water, it also requires some work, and this work must be taken from somewhere.
Yes.
And it is taken from the moon by this gravity, so that because Earth rotates faster than this orbital period of the moon, then tidals will be always a little bit before where the moon should be above us. So it will always pull the moon around the Earth and speed it up. And if you speed it up, then it will go further to find new equilibrium.
Okay. Could we look at the tides, or maybe it's not enough time, but will the tides have less of an effect, or will the moon have less of an effect on the tides as the moon comes further away? And is it just not going to move further enough away for us to measure that yet?
Mm, In the past, the tidal forces made by moon to our oceans were much stronger, so we had much higher tides than today, and it will be lower and lower and lower. And finally, it will not. The moon will not leave the air and flow somewhere else. It will be simply captured by sun, because then it will reach the point where the sun's gravity will be stronger than Earth's gravity. So it will then orbit sun as planet.
Ah, okay, I see. Now it makes sense. All right, I get it now. Okay, so Dre wants me to load a picture. I'm trying to find a picture for. Make sure this is the right one. All right, Dre. Let me know if this is the correct image that you wanted me to pull up, because kind of seems. I don't know if it's what you're trying to share.
I don't see any picture.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna share it right now. I had to make sure I had to get it all put up on here. There we go. Dre in the chat, is this the one you wanted me to pull up? And what I need to do is I need to turn my delay down a little bit because I think it's too much. Kind of hard to talk to people in the chat at the same time because it's a delay. All right, we're good. All right, so they should be seeing this very shortly. I went off the wrong screen, so second, find the other one. Find the picture I was just looking at. We'll use that one for now. Yeah, there it goes. He said he wanted me to look at this. I don't know exactly what we're looking at. There we go. That's better. Yeah, Dre, I just wanted to make sure this is the one you wanted me to look at. Because I'm not sure what you meant by it. You wanted me to look at these having something to do with being able to see curvature. But I'm not 100% sure what it is. I wish you'd jump on to explain it because I don't have a clue. Chat. And again, guys, the link's out there if you guys wanted to jump on, maybe to explain this better, because I'm not exactly sure if this is even the right picture you wanted me to search, or not. Said to go to Google's cross section of the Great Lakes system and display image. So I'm not 100% sure if this is what he meant. Not. I mean, there are dozens of other images here, but I'm not seeing, I guess, a good one to look at. Yes, I'm not seeing. If these are the images you're talking about, then I'm not sure. I have no problem looking. So yeah, so like I said, not 100% sure. Let me know in the chat, Dre, if that was the image you wanted me to, and I'll bring it back up. But other than that, guys, I'm kind of gonna just end it, only because not too many flyers wanted to actually have the conversation about it. But I'm gonna go live again, or I may go live again. If not, I'll definitely be in some of the panels. I think Dreads is still live. If he's live, I'm gonna go over there and jump on his panel, see what's up. But like I said, guys, I think today was a good example of how some people aren't breaking down evidence correctly where they need to be. Flat Earth Victoria, Canada, uh, brought showed me these images and wanted me to break them, or wanted me to look at them because they believed it was a proof of no curvature. But again, as you saw earlier, and maybe you guys need to scroll back if you haven't yet, rewind, go back into the stream. I clearly showed not only that there was curvature, but why I thought there was curvature, and I showed the elevations around that point. I showed distances. I showed why I showed that those were actually proof for curvature. Um, it's I'm gonna start doing that more, where I want to see evidence. Victoria, or Flat Earth Victoria, Canada, I appreciate the fact that you brought something to the table because a lot of people don't, and but it does give us an opportunity to break it down and see where one of us has gone wrong in our calculations. I'm gonna do this again. I may go on, like I said, I may go on a little bit later on. Kind of depends on who's live, or who I've talked to about these situations. But no matter what, I will be live tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. I'm gonna start going live every day. Get to the bottom of this stuff. In the beginning of the stream, I was talking about those pictures I took of what I believe to be chemtrails. If anyone wants to talk about that, that will definitely be another live stream that I do. Okay, so Dre said that was the one that will work. If you wanted to explain in the chat to them what you wanted to see, I'll read it off what you read, but kind of hard to. For now. So again, so this is the one you said, Ray. If you want you to somehow explain this, and then like I said, I'll read it off. But I think the lag is kind of is going to screw this up because I think we're about 20 seconds behind right now. But if it's, yeah, I see the lag is intense here. Sorry, guys. I'm seeing if he wants to jump on the panel because of the lag that we have between the two. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to explain it and me relay it to you guys unless basically he jumps on or something. We'll see. Oh, okay, he's on his phone. Can't use that link shit again. All right, no worries. My bad. Not sure if it'll work. I'll put it in our. I'm pretty sure we have. I'll put it in here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can get it in here. If you want, the links in that hangout that I have. I'm not sure if it'll work for you there either. But yeah, we'll see. Okay, so the picture's fine, and then explain it. Okay, go ahead and explain it, and I'll read it off. And then also you'll be able to see it in the little chat I have on the left of the screen, guys. What he's saying. But what we're doing is we're looking at a picture that Draymond just wanted me to pull up. Not really sure yet what we're getting to with this one because not able to get on the link on the panel with his phone. It's actually happened before, so I do know it is 100% a reasonable reason for not being on the panel, so I don't fault him for that. I just fault him for the fact that now I gotta wait. So we'll see. Again, we'll see how this works. If it doesn't work too well, then what we'll do is I'll end the stream and we'll do it another time. Only because it's kind of a drag when people have to wait and hear dead air while they wait for something. So that would be the only gripe I have with it. We'll go ahead and give them a few more seconds and then go from there. What happens? Checking everything until it comes to the first All right. So let's try this out. Dre, let me know if you're down to do a hangout in a little bit and that I can record, and I'll just record you explaining this because again, like I really don't have much to say right now, and I don't really want people to have to lag or like sit here and wait dead air to get free to type, and I don't want to say hey type faster because that'd be ridiculous. So let me know if you're down to do that, do a hangout in a little bit, and we'll do it then. If you're in the middle of typing, I do apologize. But I can't do the dead air thing, and I don't have a damn thing to say. So guys in the chat, thank you guys for being in the panel. Thank you. I'm sorry about the hangout earlier. Dre says the system spans a couple where the curvature. Okay, yeah, it'd be easier if you came in, Dre, and we do a hangout maybe. Gary, I do appreciate you coming on. I apologize for the lack of being able to be heard earlier. I know
no problem. You're fine.
Yeah, I'll check. I'll make sure I get on that for the next stream, and I'll even do a check before. I didn't think I ever had to check it, but that's what needs to be done. But yeah, so what we'll do is I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna try to get a hold of Dre and see if he wants to do a hangout and try to talk about that, and then I'll go live again. I don't mind, and we'll do it then. Otherwise, I'll be on tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll see everyone probably in the chat or in another chat. I'm gonna be on some panels today, just in the fact that I want to jump on some panels. So with that said, guys, Gary, Crude, I'll talk to you guys later. I do appreciate it. You guys were here, and the information you guys put forth. If I can, what I'm going to do is I can record, I can actually fix all the audio parts and then re-upload this live stream. It'll take me a couple of days, but nothing you guys said was in vain. Put it that way. But I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. This hangout's going to be open, guys, so if you guys wanted to pop in later on, anybody in the chat, it'll be open. I'll be in it in a little bit. After I say this outro, and then I'll go back to it. Guys, I do apologize for the sound issues earlier. Thank you guys for the people that did help me out with that. Flat Earth Victoria, Canada, I appreciate you showing something that you believe to have shown no curvature. I think I adamantly showed you it was. Dre, I apologize for ending it, but again, like I said, it's kind of hard to do it with the reading it off, and I know the issues you have with your phone on that. If you're down to do a hangout a little bit later on or in a little bit and explain that, I'm more than willing to do that because I do want to hear what you're saying about it because I haven't heard it yet. Guys, with that said, I'll be on later. I'll talk to a few of you guys, and if you guys want me to go back on because of, let me know, and we'll talk about anything I found or anything that I've talked about today. Thank you, guys.
But my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises. You ain't stopping this, cross my shit, you'll be knocked unconscious, bitch. That's the consequence, I got this, I will not quit. Man, I'm on it, honest, I'm gonna launch quick, then I'm gone. It's just a matter of time before I'm over the climb and moving under my prime. Just quit my 9 to 5, I'm rocking, and they watching, cause it's shocking. Dropping all these top 10 songs, so stopping. It's time to live my life, it's time to live, not die. Wish I could slow down time and just enjoy the climb.